So right now, we are currently in Hollywood?
Yeah.
Burbank. Anyway, doesn't matter. We are about to watch the Coco movie. We're at a screening, so we're going to see it before anybody else. Woohoo! And there's also going to be a panel at the end. So I'm going to be taking notes, and sure enough, when the movie comes out, I'm going to put up my video because I'm going to already had a review done. I'm going to try and remember everything because it's going to be dark, so I can't really like physically take notes. So I'm going to be taking mental notes, and then thank you. And then it's going to be interesting. Hopefully, we can film the Q&A because that would be really, really cool.
Usually we can.
So we're going to try and film as much as we can of the Q&A, and if I come up with any good questions, hopefully I will be brave enough to ask it. And yeah,
in your mind.
If not, I will mentally, I'll just regret it for the rest of my life. But yeah, hopefully it's a good movie. We're just waiting for it to start. It starts technically in like 2 minutes. So
I take pictures.
Oh yes.
yeah, so we'll see you guys hopefully in the Q&A.
Well.
What up, bitches? What up, bitches? What up, bitches? What are your bones? Can literally kill someone with this. Dude, there's a fucking clown over there with a fucking knife. Ay, no mames, I'm out of here. He's a pendejo. That's a pendejo. Over here's a pendejo. It's because I'm a pendeja. Yes, I am. Yes, it is. Hi. Hi. Hello.
And this is why you get hit. No, I'm kidding.
I don't know what to say. We just finished watching Coco, and we just sat through the Q&A, which was super, super interesting. I don't know. I have a lot of shit to say, but I feel like my shit to say deserves to be in an actual like review video sitting down. But all I can say is that it was a good movie. Y'all should go watch it. They did their research. Of course, it's never going to be perfect because it's coming from it's like the two main people that actually made the movie and pitched the movie they're not Latin. So it's never going to be like exactly the way it is, but I think one of the greatest points that someone said that I agree with in the Q&A is that a lot of this movie is very closely authentic because they all took from, like, they didn't try and go towards stereotypes of things, but they tried taking from their own like experience and like own family. So I think it was great. I'm excited for everyone to see the movie. It's actually really good, especially like it's very hard not to feel proud of a kind of movie like this because it's your culture. It's something you grew up with. There's like there's a scene about the freaking grandma coming out with the fucking chancla, and I literally smacked her and was like, I'm triggered. I am triggered. Literally, like, that's the weapon of choice, and I'm like, fuck. Just the characters, like, I remember I was like sitting there, I'm like, yep, have a tío like that, I have a tia like that, totally have a grandma like that. And you know, and it was a movie that made me cry because I think both me and Ruby and like a lot of people have lost their grandparents, and a movie based on like ancestors and relatives that have passed away, and it's hard to sit there and be like and like watch these characters that are so closely like
you follow into the story and get into it.
Yeah, and they remind you of your own family members, and like, and I told Ruby, I was like, I'm not gonna cry, and I told her I broke down because there's a scene in the movie that the abuelita in it has the same name as my grandma, and that got me because, you know, I miss my grandma. So when I saw that, I was like, ah, shit. Tears everywhere. I couldn't stop them. I was like, don't sniff because we were gonna know you're fucking crying. Nope, I couldn't do it. I was like sniffing, I was wiping, I was like, oh fuck. I was even gonna wear makeup today, and I was like, thought better of it. I'm like, something in my inner consciousness is telling me not to fucking wear makeup.
I sense a disturbance.
Yeah. I was like, no, don't do it. Yeah, there is a lot of things that I didn't think were like from the Other Immortals culture that I didn't think that was gonna make it into the movie. interesting part though is probably I have to see it again because I was like just trying to look at everything and make mental notes. Ironically though, from what I remember, I didn't see any pan de muerto anywhere in the film. I saw mole, I saw sugar skulls, I saw mezcal, which is like something that's stronger than tequila. Yeah. I saw tequila. I saw a lot of stuff. I saw conchitas, I saw pan dulce, but I did not see pan de muerto, which was really interesting. I maybe have missed it, who knows, but I did not see pan de muerto. I'm very interested to see the movie again because I am going to take my family. I feel like my family would love this fucking movie. But the next time I see it, I'll probably confirm on any of my social medias, like, yeah, okay, yeah, there's pan de muerto, I just missed it. Like, I was overwhelmed with something else and I missed it. But
Snapchat.
But yeah, it was really, I liked it. I liked the movie. I can accept when I'm wrong. When I did the reaction to the trailer, I explained, and it's still true. I think it's still true. It's a good movie. It's a good storyline, and authenticity, was good. It didn't offend me, which was great. But it's still true. I think now that the producer and the director of this movie have said that they visited Mexico and they've spent time with families and they spent time in the culture, I think that could probably be a great leeway to doing something other than Dia de los Muertos, because I think everybody by now knows what Dia de los Muertos is.
You're gonna have to pause because I have to go down.
She's gonna pay.
12 seconds later.
Okay, so I was saying, when I said what I said when I did the reaction of the trailer, I wasn't referring to the fact that I thought that it was going to be authentically wrong or offensive. But the truth of the matter is, a lot of the movies that have come out from especially my Mexican culture they've always taken the easy route and taken Dia de los Muertos, which is something that's a very famous tradition. Like, everybody knows about it. It's like it's the even though it's wrong, it's considered the Mexican version of Halloween, which has nothing to do with Halloween because they're the polar opposites. But it's a very famous tradition now in Western
West on
culture.
West Magnolia Boulevard.
Your car's talking to me.
Boulevard.
There's a lot of Mexican tradition. Our culture is very rich with it, just like a lot of Latin culture is. So it'd be very nice to see something different other than Dia de los Muertos. Granted, yes, it's my favorite holiday, in my culture, but it's so overused at this point in cinema and animation. I mean, yeah, I'll stick to that. It's completely, but it doesn't take away the fact that this was a really great movie.
So what'd you think of the things they said in the Q&A?
Like what?
What they said on who did voices and
I was very.
What they did to
I was very.
This movie.
Yeah, I was very happy to see an all Latino cast. I don't know as of right now if they're all Mexican, which wouldn't matter to me. Which wouldn't matter to me if they weren't all Mexican. But they did a good job at casting because all the Spanish, perfect in the movie. A lot of the slang and the lingo that they used was on point. Even the little boy that they casted, perfect pronunciation. You can tell right away that his accent is actually authentic. He does have an accent. Yeah, I'm especially happy that Gael Garcia Bernal was in this, because he if you're a Latino and you know anything about Mexican cinema, you know that he's a very iconic actor. He was the one that portrayed that's called the Motorcycle Diaries. He was in the very, very famous movie with Diego Luna called Y Tu Mamá También. That's where they actually became best friends. He's just a very iconic person in Mexican cinema. So I'm very happy that he was in this movie. Very, very happy.
I need to rewatch that in Gabriel Iglesias' character part.
Oh yeah, Gabriel Iglesias was in this movie.
He was the advisor. The dude that was like, oh, all you gotta do is this.
Oh, yeah. I could see that. I like it. You know what? I think what I was most interested in, because I'm not probably like Ruby was more interested in like when they talked about the animation process and the editing process, all that stuff. I was more interested in what they took from, story wise, like what they took from their time in Mexico, what states that they visited, what kind of families they spent their time with, and I think listening to that and like knowing that they went to places like Oaxaca, they went to places like where my mom is from, like Guanajuato. They actually sat down and they spent time with families that me and you grew up like living with. I think it was like my favorite part about the whole Q&A is just listening to that, like they actually absorb things from our culture that you don't even have to tell me, but I love like hearing it from somebody that's not Latin. That you're like, yeah, that's true. Like you did intake like valuable information and you took it into consideration. And I think my favorite, I think there was one scene in the movie where it overlooks the cemetery, and it just brought so many memories of my childhood, because I've been in a cemetery like that. I've been in a cemetery where they decorate for the Other Immortals, and that's the only thing that I knew that the producer couldn't say is like he said the Other Immortals, and I was like, yeah, that's probably a mouthful. The Other Immortals. It's like, whoa. They had my favorite food.
What do you think of the fact that they told us one of the alternative storylines in the beginning of like
what it was going to be before they scratched it completely? Okay, so I think that's the moment where when I really appreciated their decision, because that's when you notice that the producer and the director really took our culture into consideration. Because their original idea was to have a kid, like an American kid, like that grew up here, that had a Mexican mom that passed away, and his dad takes him to Mexico, and he experiences what Miguel experiences in Coco, but the story centers around more like accepting that, letting go of somebody, and accepting like going through grief and accepting the loss of his mother. And I mean, it would have been a good storyline, but I think what they said was completely true. Dia de los Muertos has nothing to do with grief, has nothing to do with letting go of somebody. On the contrary, Dia de los Muertos is a celebration. We celebrate our loved ones. We don't forget our loved ones, and we don't say goodbye to them, because the whole point of Dia de los Muertos is they're here. They're here for one night out of the year, every year, to come back and to visit us, and we can have time with them. And that's the belief. So I loved how they said, well, it was a good idea, but we scratched that, because it has nothing that does not relate. That would have taken a Western point of view, when that would have totally taken away from the culture. And I was like, thank you, finally. Like, oh my God. I think me and my friend who's Native American went over that, talked about that one time, and we're like, sometimes when stories are made, and the reason why they become so offensive and they lose their authenticity is when a Western point of view tries to tell our story when it's not their story to tell, and they kind of like, they don't understand that sometimes it's not that we don't want to be inclusive. It's more like we've lived all our lives seeing how people misportray our culture. We've seen Western society misportray our customs and bringing up these, like, making these stereotypes famous, when it wasn't their story to tell, it was ours. It's not that we're not being inclusive, it's more like we're being protective, because we don't want our culture to become something that's a joke or wrong. So I think that's very respectful on the director and the producer's part to scratch the original story, whether or not it was good, and actually take the right view on the movie. But yeah, I was supposed to say this all in my review, but whatever.
Well, there's more to talk about.
Yeah, way more to talk about.
You would actually say
Yeah.
You can watch it again.
Ay. I was gonna take notes, but we realized we're in a theater and we're not gonna see shit. So like, we're not gonna see anything but the screen in front of us. So I couldn't do that. But yeah, I mean, from what I took from the movie, I cried. That's something, right? I think it's one of my favorite movies so far.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm wrapping up now. If you're planning on watching the movie, let us know. Comment down below. It's a really good movie. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to follow me on my social media like Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. And thanks for coming along. And we'll see you guys. Hasta luego. That's not how you use hasta luego, by the way. So I'm pretty conscious of that. Anyway, bye, Mexicana Americana. Ow. Where's the button on the shit?